Hi guys, welcome to the session. Working on downward facing dog, and we're going to start with how long it should be. So I see variations in terms of people's spacing when they're coming into their down dog. A couple different ways that you can measure this distance between your hands and your feet in downward facing dog. So you can come into child's pose to begin with. Keep your hands where they are. Keep the feet where they are. Just tuck the toes under and take the knees off the floor. So that kind of approximately gives you the length of your down dog. Resist the urge of walking your feet forward, especially if your heels are not touching down to the floor. People tend to think that they're not doing it right, or they're actually not good yogis if their heels are not touching the floor. I promise you, being a good yogi has nothing to do with your heels touching the floor in downward facing dog. The other way to kind of measure this is to shift forward into plank pose. A lot of people do this. They wiggle their feet back into plank pose. I want to keep your feet where they are to find your plank pose, and then just simply push the hips up and back, and that will be your down dog stance. So again, your heels may not touch the floor, but you should be able to go from downward facing dog into without having to shift your hands or your feet. So that should give you an idea of what and feet need to be in your downward facing dog. Let's come down to the knees for a moment. Let's talk about the alignment here. So your index fingers are pointing forward. Your fingers are spread wide, but not all the way out to the webbing. Okay, when your fingers are spread out to the webbing, you tend to lock the fingers in place, and it doesn't give you enough room with the rest of the body stacking on top of the wrists. So it puts a lot of pressure on the wrists as well. And you kind of don't feel like you've got that fluidity in the posture. So spread the fingers enough so you can start to grip the floor a little bit, and then squeeze the forearms in towards each other. Wrap the triceps around and under so the elbow creases are pointing forward. There's similar alignment cue with the arms as we had in the plank position. You want your index fingers pointing forward, forearms hugging in, triceps wrapping around and under. The triceps wrapping around and under kind of nods to that cue of moving the shoulders away from the ears. Now what that doesn't mean is that you shrug your shoulders. When you shrug your shoulders, you have no power in your arms, but the arms or the palms are supposed to push the floor away actively so you can lift your hips up. So you want to push the floor away with your arms, which means your arms are kind of hugging around your ears, but then wrapping the triceps around and under manifests room this way. Okay, so you're not looking for more room the length way, you're looking to broaden, go wide, all right? So the wrapping of the triceps creates room around the neck for you, okay? So hands down, forearms hugging in, triceps wrapping around and under. Tuck your toes under, take yourself back into your downward facing dog. Relax the neck and the head completely. Push the floor away with your arms actively and reach your hips up to the sky. Focus first on lengthening your spine and then working into finding more space, more length in the back of your body. So again, if your heels are not touching, don't worry about it. If you have really tight hamstrings, what you might want to think about doing is bending your knees a little bit, because straightening your legs out tends to round the back, and you're kind of here in your downward facing dog, really heavy in your arms and really light in your feet and not able to really feel the posture. So think about bending your knees a lot or a little, and then focus on lengthening your spine and lifting your hips up. So you're sending the floor away with your arms, and then as you grow in your practice for the day, or practice over the months, or practice over the years, your heels will slowly begin to come down towards the floor, and you'll be able to ground the heels down. If your heels are grounded, think about lifting your toes up for an extra stretch in the back of the legs. And if you're grounded to the palms and the heels, what you want to do is continue to push the floor away with your arms and lift your hips up and back, so you start to feel a more equal distribution of body weight through the hands and the feet. Draw the navel in, keep lifting the hips up to the sky. So your downward facing dog tends to become a great place for you to experience and find your bandhas as well. So Mula Bandha, as we spoke about in the very first posture, the muscles that stop you from going to the bathroom, engage those muscles. Second bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, pull the lower ribs in and down, right? So in and down will help you draw your navel in and up. So you start to find Uddiyana Bandha there by pulling the rib cage in, the lowest ribs in. The third bandha here, Jalandhara Bandha, chin to the chest, and you're gazing at your nose tip. Right? So try not to allow your eyes to go everywhere. Chin to the chest, you're gazing at your nose tip. So Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha, these three energy locks in the body, they actually help you stabilize your spine. So Mula Bandha works on the lowest part of the spine. Uddiyana Bandha works to stabilize the middle of the spine, and Jalandhara Bandha, chin to the chest, the throat lock, it stabilizes the top of the spine. So the first part of the posture, your first priority in down dog is to lengthen your spine and stabilize it. The second part is to lengthen the back of the legs. All right, so focus on lengthening and finding space in your spine first, and then focusing on lengthening the back of the legs with even weight distribution in the hands as well as the feet. You can start to do extra work for the core here by dragging the hands, dragging the feet towards the hands. Isometrically go shorter, don't move anything, but isometrically, energetically dragging the hands back, dragging the feet forward to get higher with the hips. The higher you get with the hips, the more you're able to draw the weight out of your hands and into your feet.